Today, we are here to talk about the Golden Mile. Let's take a look.
Wellington's Golden Mile project in Courteney Place is getting a facelift. With construction starting in late April, the project will see new slip-proof pavers, wider footpaths, improved lighting, inviting outdoor dining areas, and more public seating as well as a cycle path, while under the new look area will be upgraded essential infrastructure like new water pipes, part of the city's 300% increase in water infrastructure spending. Designed in partnership with Mana Whenua, it'll include interactive sculptures, a water garden, and new green initiatives to provide natural water filtration from rain and acknowledgement of the hidden waterways under the city. With completion expected by the end of 2027, this is a project jointly funded by Wellington City Council and Waka Kotahi, expected to create hundreds of jobs in the construction and infrastructure sector for the region and deliver a world-class space for the capital to capitalise on.
Here to join us to talk about the Golden Mile, it's Wellington Mayor Tory Whanau. Welcome, Tory. It's a pleasure to have you again today.
Kia ora, good to see you both again.
You too. Golden Mile. I've never understood why it's called that. And this is probably me being from somewhere else. Is there a reason why it's called
that? It's actually always been called the Golden Mile, just that stretch from Courteney Place right down to Lambton Quay. Once the development has actually completed, it will be renamed. Mana Whenua have committed to gifting a new name, which will be absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to that moment, but what I'm looking forward to most is actually construction starting on this project that has been many years in the making. It's a massive investment in the future of our city. It is transformational. It'll ensure that our biggest entertainment precinct in Wellington City, Courteney Place, will be redesigned and will reprioritise the way that we travel. So it'll focus on pedestrians, bus lanes, cycle lanes, and of course scooters as well, which is my favourite form of transport. And it'll also enable a lot of outdoor dining, a lot of greenery, nature, all down that stretch. So, we're very proud of our nature and biodiversity here in Wellington, so that's going to form a big part of the city. But I think what gets missed often, and which is a crucial part of this project, is that our water infrastructure will also be replaced underneath, which is, all of our pipes are coming up to their deadlines. So it's kind of like a double win for our city, and I'm really, really excited. And to think in a couple of years' time, we're going to have a truly transformed city centre that's made for people is going to be incredible. Yes, there'll be disruption. Yes, people, during transformational projects, there's frustration, but no one is ever unhappy with the final product. And I'm confident that Wellington will love this.
So you saw you had a quite aggressive campaign to get this over the line because, as we know, originally the current administration weren't too keen on it. How did you get them to change their mind? Because we know it's a hard but not impossible task.
Yeah, so the ministers at the time, Minister Bishop and Minister Brown, met with me quite soon after they were elected, and they knew this was an important project for me and our voters. But at the same time, they were trying to push through their tunnel project as well, which they knew that I opposed. And we had a really great productive meeting. We talked about the Let's Get Wellington Moving program. After all, we agreed to disestablish the program, which included light rail, but to retain certain elements and bring them in-house to council, things like the Golden Mile and Thornton Quay. And to their credit, they let us proceed with that, so we were able to retain the 50% funding from central government. And over the last couple of years, there have been campaigns and attempts, and I noticed a motion to relitigate this project, but we've had, we've successfully passed it time and time again. It's had 5 rounds of consultation overall on this project. I think, one of the biggest complaints about the Let's Get Wellington Moving program was stop consulting, just do some work. Well, we're finally doing it.
I had a quick look over some of the numbers actually around the feedback on this. 67% of submitters were in support of the proposed changes that were being made around. I think it's the Golden Mile and a lot of the changes that you're doing sort of within the central city area. That often doesn't get reported. That you hear lots of people complaining about, well, why weren't we asked? What's it like to be at the other end of this, looking out, going, well, look, this is what people told us that they wanted. Why can't people see that?
It is something that we repeat time and time again, that this has not only through consultation and submissions, it's had majority support. It was a key election platform or deliverable of mine, and I received one of the biggest margins in voting since Mark Blumsky. So you would think that would be a mandate to be able to put this through. That's how I certainly see it. But look, like with every big change project, there's always going to be lobby groups who run their own, surveys, their own polls, often by discredited polling companies, actually, to suit their narrative, and there's a whole thing around confirmation bias. So it's not uncommon for this to happen during a project, but again, you've just got to be brave, be bold, stay the course, deliver the program, which majority of Wellingtonians have asked for. And I guarantee, once it's done, people will love it. It'll have a massive impact on our local economy. We've seen time and time again internationally, with New York being the prime example, right down to Australia. And actually Dunedin, George Street in Dunedin, people love that street now. It's had one of the biggest festivals on that street, and we'll be able to enable that sort of activation in our city safely. And I'm really, really excited about it.
How many jobs will this create for the city? Because we've seen a decrease in jobs. So how much of a positive impact on the economy will this have in terms of job creation for the city?
Well, yeah, and that's a great question, because initially during the construction period, it'll enable hundreds of jobs in the construction sector and infrastructure. So we've got, our region is about to invest billions of dollars into our water infrastructure project and the regional entity, which needs qualified people. That work will also contribute to the Golden Mile project. So over the next couple of years, there's so many jobs. People often forget about those construction jobs that, are required. We've seen some stuff in the media around how those who work in infrastructure are starting to go overseas because they can't get guarantees around the transformational projects here in New Zealand. At least Wellington, we can provide that certainty. And then once, when the project is done, there's a lot of evidence worldwide that when you do proper placemaking, when you make city centres welcoming to people, it just brings in more foot traffic, and that in itself has an impact on retail spend, hospitality spend, and over time drives more people. There's another study, I think it might be from Adelaide, for every dollar you invest in projects like this, the return is $14 on the dollar. And that's been a recent study as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no light rail involved in this, is there?
Not this one. I was hugely committed to light rail, and Wellington and trolley buses were quite a massive part of our identity. However, we were not able to retain the funding for that, but that's not to say it won't get picked up again in the future. We are still trying to enable urban planning, which what light rail was intended to do. So we're working with the minister to, in putting forward their tunnel, the second tunnel with Mount Vic, we want to ensure that the area around it, around the basin and along Adelaide Road, enables urban design and upzoning, and of course more housing. The district plan will assist with that, but we need, again, a lot more placemaking, and I think that's possible. The current Minister Bishop has talked about such things very favourably, so I have some hope there.
So in terms of the Golden Mile project itself, the first thing somebody asked me about this when I said I was talking to you was, are they keeping the tripod, and will there be more?
Yes, there is a trick. They are keeping the tripod. Some people have mixed reactions to that, but look,
Mm-hmm.
being a film city. It's a big part of our history, but we're actually, as well as that, we're going to be installing a number of sculptures which have been co-designed with mana whenua, which will have a story around it. And in another part of the project, so Courteney Place is connected to Te Aro, right? Te Aro Park, which also had Te Aro Pa. So in a later project, we'll be looking to bringing, really making visible the history of of mana whenua around that area as well. So there's a lot of co-design happening with the Golden Mile, and I think that's incredibly important.
The second thing somebody pointed out to me is that we don't have many projects in this country that, for placemaking in particular, that take on these concepts of being very green and using the environment and those tools that the environment gives us to, like water filtration processes. And I see part of this project is, bus tops, for examples, that have greenery on top designed to filter water before it goes into the drainage systems. How much work goes into being able to create a miniature ecosystem like this to be able to work in a location like the Golden Mile?
Yeah. So, as well as the Golden Mile project, another project that we've prioritised is the Green Network Plan, which ensures that we install a lot of greenery across the city, 1 million trees, and that combined with the Blue Network Plan, which is identifying our waterways under the city, will mean that we deliver much more nature, water-sensitive design, water gardens, and that in the long term helps with the not only the stability of our city and the way that we manage water and the way that we help with pipes and landslides and things like that. It helps lower our emissions over time, and that combined with high density housing and a focus on public transport, we'll be able to reach our targets a lot quicker, which is obviously a big priority for Wellington City.
All the transport implementations. For me as an advocate for the disabled community, what kind of features are we going to have at our disposal?
So with the Golden Mile in particular, after consulting with our community, so we've installed we've doubled the number of disability parks on the side streets because with the Courteney section there, it will be carless from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And there'll be disability parks on all the side streets. However, if you have a park, have an appropriate pass, you'll be able to use the loading zones all along Courteney Place as well. We've ensured that in terms of the design of the streets, pedestrian first, and accessibility, so all the footpaths are a lot wider as well.
Cool. And if people want to know more about this, where can they go? Is there a website they can go to? Is there
Yeah.
a
Yeah, so the
yeah.
WCC website, wcc.gov.nz, you'll be able to find a big section about the Golden Mile, including a video flyover and the different phases that it's going through.
And what the completion date looking like? Yeah.
The completion date? About, don't quote me, but about 2 years, 2 and a bit years.
Yeah. Are you looking at doing any other similar projects for the city that you can talk about while we're here?
Yeah, I think, look, we'll start to see the Thorndon Quay project come to completion over the next few months or so. We'll see the Golden Mile start. Our water infrastructure project and moving to the entity is probably our biggest one and most expensive one. But I think, and we want to enable a lot more housing. We're building, we're upgrading our social housing stock from this year, and we'll be converting more buildings to apartments this year to reach a target of 500 rentals as well. what we'll start to see over the next 3 years, which is after the election, unfortunately, is stuff start to complete. So we've got our massive library will open next year. Our town hall and part of Civic Square will open 2027. And whatever happens with the bridge, that will be part of that project. And then, in a couple of years' time, the Golden Mile will be finished. So the Golden Mile and Civic Square will be close to completion in a matter of years. And it's going to look really wonderful. And if that is the legacy that I can leave, I'd be absolutely stoked.
Any other questions for you, Paul?
I always have a million questions. I actually wanted to bring up water, the pipes and stuff like that underground. Now, you mentioned before that this is obviously part of the project as well, getting all that done. Water is an issue that Wellingtonians seem to be very divided on. They get very passionate about their water supply. I was doing a bit of research here, and I found some really fascinating numbers on this. And I'm just wondering if you could tell me whether or not this costing that I saw is included in the Golden Mile project. It was your council has had a 300% increase in spend on wastewater infrastructure and a 40% increase spend on water supply infrastructure. Is that all incorporated into these costs as well for the area that's obviously impacted by the Golden Mile changes, or is that a separate cost as well, like added investment into
it's
water
all part.
infrastructure?
Yeah, it's all part of our big. When you look at the entire water cost, it's just over for the next 10 years, $4.4 billion, and that going to Wellington Water in particular is $1.8 billion over the next 10 years. That's essentially doubled on the last term. And if you look at Geordie, triple. Councillor
I saw
Geordie.
the numbers.
Yeah, right.
That's
It's been
huge.
finally put into a graph, our level of investment in water, and it's quite a sharp turn. Have you seen that?
It will be, and there's the joy of editing. It's this graph right here.
Amazing.
It'll be. Yeah, like you can see the increase in spending that's happened there. It's a very sharp increase in spending. Do you think that the public in Wellington are starting to see the benefits of that, or understanding, this is a bit of a longer term project because there's a lot of pipes? Are people starting to understand that impact?
Starting to, because we did some extra investment into pipe repairs last year that was approved by council, and as a result, over the last year, we fixed over 4,500 leaks, and the on the ground feedback that we're getting is, yes, I've noticed a lot less leaks. And the reporting, the data backs that up. But that is a short-term solution, right? Because fixing leaks is one thing, but in the long term, and I'm talking like a 10, 20-year project, we have to replace our pipes, which is what the significant investment and moving to the entity will do. So I think, I think we're starting to. There's been a lot less negative media about our water infrastructure, and the feedback, certainly to me directly, has been really positive.
One last question from me, because just to add a bit of fun to the end of this interview, because me and Paul are pop culture nerds. You've recently got the Disney exhibition debuting at the new, not new now, but the new-ish convention centre. So what the early reception been to that? It's been going for a few days at the time of this recording. So have you heard much feedback yet?
Not yet. I've been. I was one of the first to see it, so that's a nice upside.
Perk of the job.
And I've had. What's great about this exhibition is that it's good for adults and children. So there's a lot of historic art and original drawings and some pieces from Walt himself that are part of this. And so the diehard Disney fans just think it's really wonderful, and this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to look at this art. But there's also interactive kind of graphic areas for children where you can dance with, like Beauty and the Beast. So there's something for everyone. I'm a massive Moana fan. I mean, obviously, that was a significant moment for all of our Polynesian whānau across the world. And there's just so much in there I got a bit emotional when I saw some sketches of Moana, and there's a big sculpture or whatever you call it, display outside that you can take photos with as well. So I think it's fantastic. We're still getting the numbers, but I'm confident it's going to do
we'll
well.
be down there. We'll hopefully be down later this year, both of us, to check that out. Once
I'll come
Paul's
with
done,
you.
Brilliant.
all this
Oh,
work.
yeah. I'll host you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us. We'll film it and
Perfect.
everything.
Perfect. I'm going to finish off with a question that's not related to the Golden Mile. October, local body elections coming up. What advice would you give to people who are considering running anywhere in the country if they're considering looking at putting their name forward for the local body elections this year?
To definitely do it. So I think, Wellington City Council has had a challenging couple of years, and we've been in the media a lot, and it might look, somewhat relentless to some, but I'm here to tell you that, look, if I can get through that, anyone can. If you're passionate about what your city looks like in the future, how people will live in it, and not just Wellington City, across New Zealand, if you are passionate about that sort of stuff, please put yourself forward. The more people we have running, the more diversity we have on council, the better. It needs to represent our community. I'm aware of several people running for Wellington City Council. I'm excited, but I think we could do with more. That makes this a truly democratic process.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, Tory, and
Thank you.